All right, we're recording. It says streaming. It's streaming to private. I only turn it to public once we've decided we're happy with it. FYI.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, let's look at that trial court issue, because I know that will definitely come up for Amanda, and it just isn't something like I said, I think earlier, you're the first folks using this trial court code that is different from Massachusetts one. So you will probably have lots of refinements to do to it.
Okay. Let me just get there real quick. Person. Okay. So I'll start with Alexander County. I go to review. It's filed in Alexander. I edit, change it to Cumberland. Still says Alexander.
Okay, because the county is actually, it says county, but it's really using the trial court, right?
Well, so the code, I think we're actually looking at the contents of that county address county, if you recall. I think we talked about this in the last call. Yeah. So, but can you see it okay? All right.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think we need to have the sets on line 221. I think we could take that off. But what we want to have is a depends on. So that will say when this variable updates, update this one. So
okay, right here.
Just like your sets, yeah. Add depends on. And DocAssemble doesn't automatically do this just for performance reasons. So then a new line. Anytime you have a variable in between, we're actually not going to put a pipe on line 221. It's just going to be the new line.
Oh, is it a list like this?
It's a list. Yep, just like sets was a list. And then what do you think it would depend on?
It looks like it's the trial court index.
Exactly, yeah. So now when trial court index updates, it will say rerun this code block.
Perfect.
To figure out any variables that are defined in that code block.
Okay. Henderson.
And
I wonder if I need to, it
try resuming and then let's see what happens there.
Should I review again or go back just to see what it?
Try review again and see what it does. There we go.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, I think what happened there is just because it won't show variables that aren't defined. It hadn't run that code block again yet.
Okay.
And we just changed the code. But let's see if it will continue to work correctly.
That's Effingham. Oh, see,
interesting. So it doesn't recalculate it.
Yeah.
That's a weird behavior, actually. But if you resume, and now go back to review your answers, it's updated. That feels like a bit of a bug. We might want to report on the DocAssemble Slack, because I feel like that is, yeah, it's very weird. The other thing you could do is in the review block, you could set a depends on there. So that would be a workaround, but it feels like you really shouldn't have to.
So in here, I would put a.
It would be inside. There's inside the block that just sets trial court. That lets you edit the trial court.
Oh wait, I'm not in the right place. Where am I? There we go.
Okay. Oh, you're editing trial court index. So change trial court index to trial court. And I think that would actually solve the problem on line 686.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because of the depends on you have on the trial court, it should trigger refreshing it correctly, because it will know. Let's see. It still works.
Yeah, I see. No, that makes.
Probably it was originally trial court, right? But you had. No.
Whoops.
Interesting.
Where did it go here?
It's using a different block for design.
Oh, right. So this is the the default. Okay, so here we are.
I might ask for Jonathan's ideas for the best solution there, but obviously trial court index is what you want it to edit.
I feel like the doc assembly way of, yeah, like you would still want to edit trial court index, but like I feel like Jonathan's suggestion is going to be just don't set trial court, and like everywhere you do use trial court, you just have that like that one line expression where you set it, you just like use the trial court index to access it every time, because just doc assemble just doesn't ever seem to play well with like setting other variables from like that isn't directly being called from or like set from a user input.
I see.
So like where is that block of code?
So use this.
Yeah, which so like every time you refer to trial court, you instead just use what on the everything on the right side of the equals there, which is a bit wordy, and I don't know how often you use it in the rest of the interview. That might not work, but I feel like that's like the solution that I've like seen in the documentation of they're just like, yeah, like you can try and use like reconsiders and depends on and stuff, but like they won't work in all cases, and you should just try to refer to the variable that's set by the user directly if you can.
Okay, and that will then always calculate it or recalculate it whenever it's being displayed on the screen or put in a document or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, so you won't have the issues with refreshing, and I don't know, like performance wise, it shouldn't be too bad. It's not great, but it shouldn't like.
In this case, it won't be too bad. It's just going to load that spreadsheet every time, which is a bit awkward. I mean, I'm still interested to see if there's another workaround
That's
for
right.
that.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Like design-wise, using the it feels like there should be a solution. But in the review screen, there's some options to handle follow-up there. I wonder if one of those will work. I think it's recompute is the one that we could use, and that will always make sure it's recomputed when you click the edit button. And that's the problem, right? Because we have the depends on, trial court will not actually be defined yet. And on the review screen, a block that doesn't has something that's not defined is not displayed. So that's like so a review screen doesn't trigger defining things that aren't defined yet. That's intentional. But I think if you do the recompute, I'm just going to check to make sure that's the right keyword, then it should recompute it for you whenever you have hit that screen. And it will be defined, and therefore we'll be able to display it.
Recompute is the right word. Yeah.
Okay.
So underneath edit, I think you have to change the. Do you have the syntax in front of you, Bryce?
Yeah.
I think we have to put trial court index on a new line with a dash, I believe. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. So you do edit and you move trial court index
like
to
this?
Not with a pipe.
No pipe. It's going to be a list.
New line, and so
Indent one level though, yeah, just like that.
And then at that point, and then after, like in the same like list as trial court index, so another dash, you do at the same level, dash recompute colon one more new line, and then trial court, like one more new line with a dash, so like a list under recompute, and then you would put trial court, I believe.
Like this?
Yeah, just like that. At least that's how it looks.
I think that's what I was looking for to do.
Yeah, and I'm making sure there's nothing else that we would need to add. I don't think so. But yeah.
And then this other part with the button is
that should be fine. Let's try this and see if it works. Because what that will do is anytime you edit trial court index, it'll recompute trial court, which will mean trial court's defined, which should allow that button to display.
Okay.
So yeah, let's
go back here. Effingham, Fulton.
All right.
That seems to be good with that. Let me start it anew so it's just so we know that it's not just to make sure it works if it, although I guess it would never show up there if we haven't already answered it once. So that shouldn't be a problem.
I think let me think about that. There's some new modifiers that I'm not quite sure what they're supposed to do. One of those might be relevant. So it might still be worth asking if there's a different solution that we didn't think of, but it actually makes sense. There's no way for when you click the edit button for DocAssemble to know, unless you tell it, what variables you want to be recomputed there. And we know on the other side that the variable is out of date until it's been set again by code, but.
Okay, cool. Wow, well, that works. And doesn't feel like a hack, so I like it. That's good.
I wonder if we should set this up in the wizard. Maybe we should make an issue for that. Let people, I think, who are not working in Massachusetts would want to have this set every time. And maybe we want to change our court library to work the same way. There's a reason why we changed the design and why we're finding these issues now is because I think that's a better way to go, the way this is working. So. All right. Well, I think we solved that one. Let's look at the next one.
Okay, great. I'll just show quickly in the interview what it looks like so you can get a sense of what we're going to try to display real quick. So we have to send the appearance to all other parties. First thing we're going to do is ask if they have a lawyer, because we'll send it to the lawyer instead. That this is another issue I will get to in a minute, but let's just first stick with this person in their attributes. Oh, so it'll get their address. So that's one attribute we're going to maybe want to look at and edit. And if we say, yes, I know how we're going to send it to them, then there could be all of these things.
I see. So they're
it could
always
be up
defined as one of the issues. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it could be up to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then beyond that.
Can you click source? Can we just see how those options are defined?
Sure.
They're probably separate attributes, right? Yeah. Okay.
And then I have additional separate attributes, which are the date and time and AM and PM.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So those will be easy. The one that's trickier is the ones that aren't always defined. I might write a function just to make it a little bit neater, but let's look at that table that you created first. And
I'm actually, I don't know that
a revisit block maybe for that, for the attorney's information.
So I didn't let me see what I did. I may not have built it yet, but I just saw, oh, this is complex and there are a few different ways to proceed. And so I just wanted to get the input of this group before spending too much time on it. But I did set up the table here just for the list of users and other parties. So that is a table. I don't know, I guess we could start here and then just start building row by row or column by column.
So you probably want one for an attorney. Is that always like, and it could be for the user or for the other party, right? So you could probably make that a generic object block, x.attorney. And see how there under columns we have currently just have name. You can add whatever columns you want there. The tricky thing is it might cause some weird behavior if you have a column there that has something, an attribute that it's using that isn't actually defined yet. Because then it will trigger getting that attribute and you'll be stuck on that screen. If it's hidden behind a show F, you'll be stuck on that screen with it not doing what you really want. Let's try making like really simple one, like just for some of the fields that are always displayed. And what I was thinking when I said a function would be that maybe you want to kind of have a summary of the different delivery methods that goes into one column. And it just will show the ones that they selected.
Yeah, I was wondering if what I may do on the review all answer screen is just have the text output to say you are delivering to this person by this method on this day, and not be able to edit individual components, but just then bring them all the way back to that big delivery method multi checkbox page, and then also the time and date one. So those would be separate. That seemed to be another way to handle it that might make the review page a little bit easier, but maybe not. I don't know what you think about that.
I think that is probably the right way, because if you think about it, like trying to click the individual edit buttons inside a table, it would be probably kind of complicated, right? So I think you want to show the delivery information and an edit button for all of the delivery options, and instead of a separate one for each choice they made. I think that's the right design.
Okay. Good. All right.
You could make that a review screen too. It doesn't have to be a table. So, because a review screen does handle undefined variables already. And you can use generic object with the review screen too. So you could make like a little mini review screen with its like X dot and then all of the attributes of the service methods. And the continue button field, like here we have users.revisit, right? You might have it be, the continue button field itself could be X dot review service method. And then for any AL individual, it would review the service method for that individual. And you want to add generic object modifier to this block too.
Oh, sorry, I haven't done that much.
This is good. You could just add a new line, and then just do generic object.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be AL individual.
That's right. Okay.
And instead of x.revisit, let's make it
that different one.
What would it be? Yeah, review delivery probably is good. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if I should have a separate method one and then also a delivery time.
So this will be like a review. I was thinking you could make this like a review screen. So it will show all of the things, be like a sub review screen, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's better. I'd love to have it all just one. Or I think that could work.
And then underneath where it says, we wouldn't have a sub question the same way. It would just be a review block. And then you would list X dot, whatever thing you wanted to get reviewed for the edit option. Does that make sense? Generic object basically lets you do the same thing for objects of any kind. So it works on all kinds of blocks, not just questions. So instead of sub question, I don't think we need the sub question necessarily.
So we would just have is it in the question? That's what you're saying?
It would be a review. So if you scroll up a little bit, you'll see how the review block is defined here. Maybe copy one of those lines and we'll be able to start working with that.
Like this?
Yeah.
With the button or no?
With the button too.
Oh, I see. Okay, question review screen.
So
Do you
that'll
think-
replace the sub question. And the question we're going to want to edit too. We're going to want to have the question be something like edit X's delivery method, and then inside Mako tags.
This writes.
Sure.
Or edits. I'll worry about that later.
Yeah. And then, so what is one of the fields that someone has for delivery method?
It is, we'll start with the, oh, sorry. Okay, so things like dot hand delivery, that's the easiest one. It's just, whoa.
If you're trying to, there we go. It
Yeah.
looks like we were just there.
Ah, sorry.
You could look for X dot delivery. That would help it jump to the right place quickly. Oh, so you're already using generic object there. See, so it would be the same. We would just basically want to copy those attributes into the edit button, into the review screen.
Okay. Like this whole thing?
That could be a good way to start. Yeah.
Did I define it? No, I didn't do it yet.
And let me see.
There we go.
I wonder how it would work. So this is like not a very good, but a way to generate a review screen, like a little script that just scans the YAML file and then figures out what all of the different variables are. It might actually work with this. I'm curious. It will save a little bit of time if it works. So yeah, edit X.delivery date. We'd have a button underneath, which would be the date, X.delivery date.
Sorry. All right. Oh, so here would it be with in this format?
It would be with the Mako tags, yeah. You could format it, it's up to you. And then we would replace today with X.
Do I need to do
Nope.
delivery date?
Yes, you do. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yep. Let's try just that one, because you know that's there. And we'll just make sure this works the right way we expect. Okay, so now we have to think about how you get to this review, review screen, which I think that is where you would do it on the table that you already have for users and other parties, I guess.
Oh, one of these users
As one
table?
of the columns, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So make
okay.
a new column.
Let me start it with other parties, just because it's, I mean, I'll copy it, but.
And then, yeah, delivery method. And there's no way to, so I don't know what you want to display there yet, because I'm not sure that you might already have a way in your Word document to handle formatting the display of what the thing is, but it's going to be, what we want to have is a link they can click to edit the delivery button. So that is going to be, I think I would use a button, probably. So let's delete everything on line 769. We'll just do, I know this is like a little bit complicated, but I think this will be something you can copy, and if you like how it works, you'll be able to add in the other rows. So After line 768, let's make it indented one level in just to match like 767's indentation. Okay, so
Button.
a button is action button HTML is the way to get a link. And it's going to have a default name of edit, so that you don't have to worry about that. So open parenthesis. And inside the link is what we're trying to set. And that's going to be set from URL action. So URL underscore action. And then open parenthesis. And then the name of the variable in quotes. So that's going to be x dot delivery method, yeah. Or review delivery method, whatever you call it.
I catch it. Where did I?
X review delivery
Okay.
without method, okay. So now in that column of the table, there's going to be a button that takes you to that review page that we just built. So just close that up. And you'll want to have some kind of text there besides just the button. Like maybe just start it out by saying delivery method.
Right here.
Or you could, yeah, maybe this is good actually, because it already has a heading that's delivery method now that I think about it. But you might want to show the delivery method that they selected there too, eventually, right? But this will work for now, I think. Yeah, so let's go ahead and review one of, you just added a delivery method for the other party, right? So we should be able to refresh and see if all this changes worked.
Did I do it? Or maybe not. Maybe not on this one yet. Or well, maybe I did.
Let's see. Well, it'll give us the link no matter what. So if we review the other parties' names.
Oh, I have to do it here.
Cannot be used with a generic object. Okay, that's okay. We don't have to use X there. And I realize we shouldn't have probably there. Go back to, yeah. We don't want it to be X.review delivery. We want it to be.
Oh, other parties.
But it's going to be other parties I basically, right? So actually delete everything except for review delivery. There's a shortcut method in docassemble to handle the situation where you want to get the name of the specific. Oh, keep review delivery, delete other parties. What I should have said. Sorry.
All right. Wait, where do you want me to delete?
I'm going to grab an arrow. Sorry, I'm being very vague. So delete other parties, and also the dot. And now just right here, outside of the quotes, we're going to use one more function, which is row item dot attribute name, ATTR underscore name.
So sorry, what was the first part of that you said?
Row item, just like we're using here, row underscore item dot ATTR underscore name, and open parenthesis. And then, yeah, close it up.
Another one.
Yep. So what that little function does there is it gets the name of this individual item, and then it adds a dot review delivery to it. We were trying to do that with the X, but that wasn't actually right for this table because it's not a generic object. Okay, now we should be able to save and refresh.
Do I need to?
You can hit retry or reload. They both do the same thing. So yeah, let's edit. Now this edit button should take us to that review screen we just built. And there we see the date, and we can edit the date.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so that you could decide if you like that user experience there, but if you do like it, then I mean, obviously it's 3 clicks deep to get to editing the delivery method, but maybe that's okay for your use. Maybe you want to bring it more into the context and like maybe have the first other party's information right there because it's the most common one. You can decide, but this should hopefully get you down a way to solve the problem.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think what I would like would be for there to be another list here that is the delivery parties' names. So it's a list of all the people you're delivering to. And then from there, you could go into that, or even better, say these are the people you're delivering it to, and this is how and when you're delivering it to them if that's been defined. And then I click edit, and then I can go in and change their name or the method or the time.
You should be able to do that by making the same kind of block. So if we switch back to, yeah, so see where that table, it says, it gives the table itself a variable name. I usually make that an attribute of the list, but does not need to be. So you would call it something like delivery parties.table or whatever the name of your, and then for the rows would be from that delivery parties too.
Okay.
Then the columns, that hopefully makes sense. Like the row item refers to an individual row item in the row. And then you can work with the attributes exactly the same way that you're doing here.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
And you wouldn't have to change anything else, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think that could work. I'll have to figure, well, I wonder if I should. Just not sure how it will display if there are, or depending on what methods are selected. So if it says, yes, they did handle, do you want to, are you delivering by hand? Yes, no. Are you delivering by mail? Yes, no. Where are you sending it from? All that.
Yeah, and there's two ways that I would think about, because like basically there's a lot of repetitive code there, right? Like you have to check, is this attribute defined? Because like, did they check the outer box that says this is the service method? And if it is, then show the specific details for that service method, right? Like you don't care about the address if they're delivering it by e-filing, or I don't remember the exact options or something like that. So instead of trying to squeeze that into one line here, which is the way that tables work, like I might make a little function that abstracts that. So it's in one place, I reuse it, and it's easier to read in the table. If I were going to do it from scratch, we could add a method like that to the AL individual class, or you could subclass it and do it as a method. But that just seems like a little unnecessary. I think a function might be neat and clean enough way to do it. You could use a template block. It's another option. Template block might be the neatest choice. Actually, I kind of like the template block idea, but I'm not positive if it would work. But the idea here is just like to handle all of the conditions about like which things to show when. It's trying to squeeze that into one line. It's just going to be like impossible to read later.
Right.
Do you have it in your Word document already? That logic that handles which things are shown.
It's a PDF.
Oh, it's a PDF. Okay, well, if you already have that display logic, where is it? Let's see. In the attachment block, I guess, right?
Oh, well, it's just, yeah, but it's
oh, it's checking different options.
Right. Yeah. So if it's not defined, it just shows nothing. So it's happy. It doesn't. It makes it easier.
Yeah. I would try a little. I would try a little template block.
Is there an example I could draw from that you can think of? Or is there one here I can just put, is there one in the documentation I can look at? Do you know of? Because I'm not sure I've used that before.
Yeah, so if we could jump to that page of the documentation first, let's do that. And we could get started, but we should, I know Bryce and I have to sign off, and probably everyone does by 11, but I probably should give ourselves a few minutes before our next meeting. So yeah, let's go to the documentation page. And Markdown templates. Actually, if you want to look through example blocks, it's there. Yeah, see, this is a Markdown template. So it's just a way for you to see, once you create a little block like this one, template disclaimer, that gets a variable name. you can use Mako and multiple lines of text inside the content, and then you can refer to it later in your document.
Ah, I see.
So what I was thinking about is in the column definition, you would refer to the template, and the way you would do it inside Python code is you would just have, like here we would do disclaimer dot show, open and close parenthesis.
Mm-hmm.
But basically you would format how you wanted to display the different options for delivery inside the content block of the template.
Okay, and the dot show function, that will only show it if there are defined variables within. Is that what that does? Or what is the
You would
dot
still
show?
need to write out that logic, but it's just you'd have more than one line to fit it in.
Oh, I see. That's what that does. Okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't solve the problem of having to write out the logic. But they're not, there's other ways to solve that part of the problem. But I think probably just writing it out to mirror what you have on the page might not be that hard to do. And you'll be able to see and understand what it's doing easily. So you could decide if that's important to you to try to simplify it or not. Okay. You could use probably show if defined, so it doesn't trigger anything.
Mm-hmm.
You could use like a little function like we had on, I forget which question that was, but you had a while ago where it was only adding up the numbers that are defined.
Oh, right.
You could use something like that design where you make a little function to help you with it.
Okay.
But I think show if def would already do the thing you need.
Okay.
If you didn't want to write it out within a statement. So like if this thing is checked, then show the address, right? Like you could just mirror that logic there.
Yeah. Okay, I think that makes sense. And I think that will be very flexible and reusable. So I like that because as I said, that proof of delivery section is in many statewide forms. So it will be great once this is built and I can reuse it in the future. All right.
I was just helping someone else with this same idea. Like in Florida, I guess they have the same thing, but it was still simpler than yours. It's more complicated than the Massachusetts one, but simpler than yours. And I was thinking about your form.
Lucky us. Okay, great. Well, I'll put the other questions in teams, and we'll go one by one. Hopefully that will work. I did have one more general question that I just wanted to verify. Someone noted some issues with our, they'd saved answers in an interview, or they ran an interview and then came back and used a saved answers file. And they had said that some of the answers weren't there again and they had to redefine them. But I didn't try to reproduce the error yet. But I wanted to make sure I understood the behavior, which is that I was assuming that DocAssemble would save the answers, retain them after you leave the question screen and either do the continue button field or define whatever it's looking for and go to a new screen. Is that right? Is that when it saves? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, actually, every time you click a button, it saves to the database. But is it possible that the interview changed in between?
Oh, that is possible. No, actually, no, no, so this is one that's in production, so I don't think I made any changes to it that were major, but yeah, that makes sense. That would be an issue.
That can be challenging to deal with. Like I had to, but that's true in hot docs too. So I don't think I have like really general techniques for that, but there's basically, I think the big solution is if you change your interview and you want to recompute some variable based on that, you I usually just have, I set like some kind of flag in the interview so that like it sets a variable to true only if, which would already be defined if the interview was saved with an old version of the, was generated with an old version of the file, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that.
I don't know if you've used that in Hot Docs, but that's the same technique I've used in Hot Docs interviews.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I will look at. I need to try to reproduce the error so I can understand it better. But just knowing generally how it's working, that will help.
I can't think of any reason why the answers would change other than the interview changed, unless it was like a package the interview uses changed, which is another possibility.
Okay.
Depending on what thing it was that they had saved.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, that is good. I'm going to stop sharing there. But great. Well, thank you. That was very helpful with the questions that we talked about here, and I will post the rest in Teams.
All right. Okay. We'll see you all later. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow. So Amanda, don't forget, like that's another option too, if you have questions.